The alien ship floated quietly above Earth's blue surface. Dr. Cathara looked at the planet through the large window of their research vessel. Her crystal-like skin glowed softly in the dim light of the control room. She had been studying new worlds for over 20 years, but this one looked just like any other water planet. "Begin the wildlife scan," she told her team in her gentle voice. The ship's name was Harmony's Edge, and it carried scientists from 3 different alien races. Dr. Cathara was a Velthari, tall and thin with skin that looked like living crystal. Her people ate only plants and had never known war. Next to her stood Dr. Velneth, whose people came from the ocean worlds. His blue skin was smooth and wet, and gills on his neck moved slowly as he breathed. The third team member was Dr. Ornthek, who looked like a giant insect with 4 arms and large compound eyes that could see in many colors. "The planet shows normal life signs," Dr. Ornthek said, his voice clicking like 2 stones hitting together. "Water covers most of the surface. Plants grow on the land. Animals move around. Nothing special." Dr. Cathara nodded. This was their job. They flew from world to world, making lists of all the animals they found. Some animals needed protection. Some were dangerous. Most were just ordinary creatures living ordinary lives. The Interstellar Wildlife Preservation Council sent them to keep records of every living thing in the galaxy. Far below on the planet's surface, Jake Murphy walked through the tall grass of Yellowstone Park. He was a marine biologist, which meant he studied sea life, but today he was helping his friend Lisa Grant take pictures of land animals. Lisa carried a big camera and moved very quietly through the trees. "Did you see that?" Lisa whispered. She pointed to a large brown shape moving between the pine trees. Jake looked where she pointed. A huge grizzly bear walked out into the open. The bear was bigger than both humans put together. Its claws were longer than Jake's fingers. Its teeth could crush bones. But Jake and Lisa just watched and smiled. "Beautiful," Jake said quietly. High above them, the alien scientists watched.
"Two?"
But they did not smile. Dr. Cathara's instruments beeped and flashed red lights. "The creature shows high danger levels," she said, worry in her voice. "Look at its size," Dr. Velneth said. "Look at those claws, those teeth. This is clearly a fighting animal." The bear moved closer to some rocks. 3 small bear cubs came running out to meet their mother. The mother bear made soft sounds to call them close. She licked their fur and let them play around her feet. "Protective behavior," Dr. Ornthek noted, typing on his computer. "The large creature guards smaller ones. This suggests pack hunting methods." Just then 5 gray wolves appeared from the other side of the clearing. They moved like shadows, spreading out to surround the bear family. Their yellow eyes watched. The cubs. Their lips pulled back to show sharp white teeth. The mother bear stood up on her back legs. She was taller than any alien on the ship. She roared so loud that birds flew away from the trees. The sound was deeper than thunder. "Sonic weapon detected," Dr. Velneth said quickly. "The creature uses sound as an attack method." The wolves began to circle the bear family. They worked together like soldiers in a battle. One wolf tried to get behind the mother bear while the others kept her attention. But the mother bear was smarter. She swung her huge paw at the closest wolf. The wolf jumped back just in time. "Combat coordination," Dr. Ornthek said, his voice getting higher with excitement. "Both species show military-style tactics." The fight lasted only a few minutes. The wolves realized they could not win against such a big, angry mother. They ran back into the forest. The mother bear dropped down to 4 legs and called her cubs to her side. She led them away to safety. "Incredible," Dr. Cathara said. The large creature defeated multiple attackers using size, sound, and strategic positioning. Down on the ground, Jake and Lisa had watched the whole thing. They looked happy and amazed. "Nature is so awesome," Lisa said. She had taken many pictures of the bear family. "The mother was just protecting her babies," Jake said. "Bears are good parents." The aliens could not understand this reaction. On their worlds, when people saw dangerous fighting animals, they ran away or called for help. These humans just stood there and watched like it was entertainment. Dr. Cathara made notes in her report. Species designation, Ursus arctos, Preliminary classification, dangerous predator with advanced combat abilities, recommend caution protocols. But this was just the beginning. As the day went on, the alien team saw more and more strange things. They watched army ants marching in perfect lines like soldiers. They saw eagles diving from the sky faster than their ships could fly. They observed bees working together to defend their home with chemical weapons. Every animal they studied seemed designed for war. Every creature had ways to fight, hunt, or defend itself that looked like military technology. But the strangest part was how the humans acted around these living weapons. The humans seemed to love them. As the sun began to set over Yellowstone, Dr. Cathara realized they had a big problem. According to all their tests and measurements, this planet was not a peaceful world with normal wildlife. This planet was covered with biological weapons that could destroy armies. And somehow, the humans lived right next to them without fear. 3 days had passed since the bear incident, and Dr. Cathara was getting more confused by the hour. Her team had filled dozens of reports, but none of them made sense. Every animal on this planet seemed like it belonged in a war zone, not a peaceful world. "Show me the small carnivore data again," she told Dr. Velneth. The blue-skinned scientist pulled up images on the main screen. A small orange and black striped animal appeared. It had sharp claws, pointed teeth, and bright green eyes that seemed to glow in the dark. "This creature is only 8 pounds," Dr. Velneth said, "but look at its hunting abilities." The screen showed the animal moving through tall grass. It moved so quietly that even their advanced sensors could barely detect it. The animal crouched, low, muscles tight like a spring ready to jump. Its eyes locked onto a small bird that was drinking water from a puddle. "Perfect stealth technology," Dr. Ornthek said, his compound eyes reflecting the screen light. "The creature becomes almost invisible when hunting." The small predator waited for exactly the right moment. Then it exploded forward faster than the eye could follow. Its claws grabbed the bird before the bird even knew danger was near. "Kill efficiency, 97%, Dr. Velneth read from his computer. "Reaction time, 0.3 seconds. This is faster than most military strike forces in the galaxy." But then something strange happened on the screen. A human female walked into the picture. She was middle-aged with graying hair and wore simple clothes. The deadly predator saw her coming and did something that made all 3 aliens gasp. It started making soft rumbling sounds and walked over to rub against her legs. "Hello, Whiskers," the woman said in a gentle voice. She bent down and touched the creature's head. The predator closed its eyes and made the rumbling sounds even louder. Dr. Cathara felt her crystal skin change color, which happened when she was very confused. "The human is touching the predator," she said, "with no protection, no weapons, no fear." The woman picked up the small hunter and held it against her chest. The creature continued making happy sounds. Its claws, which had just killed another animal, were now carefully tucked away so they would not hurt the human. "This makes no sense," Dr. Ornthek said. "In our galaxy, predators and intelligent species stay far apart. Always." The alien team watched more footage from around the planet. They saw the same pattern everywhere. Humans lived with creatures. That should be their enemies. In one video, they watched a human male named Pete working on his farm. He had 4-legged animals with thick wool covering their bodies. The animals looked peaceful enough, eating grass and walking around slowly. But then Pete whistled, and another creature came running. This one was black and white with pointed ears and bright eyes. Dr. Cathara's instruments immediately started beeping warnings. "Tactical coordination capabilities detected," the computer announced in its mechanical voice. The black and white animal began moving around the woolly creatures. It ran back and forth, making the sheep move where Pete wanted them to go. But the aliens could see this was not simple herding. "Look at the movement patterns," Dr. Velneth said, his gills fluttering with excitement. "The creature is using flanking maneuvers." The animal, which Pete called Rex, worked like a military commander. He studied the sheep and figured out which ones might try to run away. He positioned himself to block escape routes. He used psychological pressure, staring at the sheep until they moved in the right direction. "Advanced battlefield tactics," Dr. Ornthek said. This creature could lead an army. But Pete just smiled and called Rex a good dog. When the work was done, Pete gave Rex food and fresh water. He petted Rex and told him he was the best helper on the farm. The alien team's confusion grew worse when they started studying the ocean creatures. Captain Andy took his small boat out into the deep water, where their sensors detected some of the most dangerous life forms they had ever seen. The human is approaching creatures with neurotoxin capabilities, Dr. Velneth said, worry clear in his voice. Andy dropped lines into the water and pulled up fish that made the aliens' security systems scream warnings. One fish had enough poison in its spines to kill 100 beings. Another had electrical generation abilities that could power their ship. A third had bite force that could crush metal. But Andy handled them all like they were harmless pets. He measured them, took pictures, and made notes about their health. Then he put them back in the water alive. He's studying weapons-grade organisms, Dr. Cathara said. But he's not keeping them. He's not using them. He's protecting them. The breaking point came when they intercepted human communications. A nature documentary team was filming in the ocean, and the aliens watched the footage with growing horror. They saw creatures with enough venom to destroy cities. They watched animals that could generate electrical storms. They observed hunters, with striking power that measured the same as explosive weapons. But the humans in the documentary talked about these creatures like they were wonderful treasures that needed protection. The blue-ringed octopus is one of nature's most beautiful creatures, the narrator said as the screen showed a small animal covered in bright blue circles. Though its bite contains enough venom to kill 26 adult humans, it only attacks when threatened. Dr. Cathara had to sit down. Her legs felt weak. They know how dangerous it is, she said. They know exactly how many beings it can kill, but they call it beautiful. Dr. Velneth was typing frantically on his computer. I need to contact the council, he said. This planet is not what we thought. These humans are not normal colonists living on a wildlife preserve. What are they then? Dr. Ornthek asked. Dr. Velneth looked at his teammates with fear in his large black eyes. I think they might be the galaxy's most advanced weapons researchers, and they're disguising their work as nature conservation. The three aliens stared at the planet below them. What had seemed like a simple wildlife cataloging mission was turning into something much more complicated and potentially dangerous. Dr. Cathara had not slept in 2 days. Her crystal skin had turned a dark purple color, which meant she was very worried. The team had been studying the humans themselves, and what they found was more frightening than any wild animal. Play the park ranger footage again, she told Dr. Ornthek. The screen showed a human female walking through the forest. Her name was Helen, and she worked as a park ranger. She looked normal enough. Brown hair, friendly face, simple uniform. But Dr. Cathara's instruments told a different story. Helen walked up to a large snake that was lying across the hiking path. The snake was as thick as a human arm and longer than Helen was tall. When it saw her coming, it lifted its head and opened its mouth wide, showing 2 curved fangs that dripped with poison. Venom delivery system activated, the computer announced. Toxin levels sufficient to terminate large life forms. But Helen did not run away. She did not call for help. Instead, she picked up a long stick and gently touched the snake's tail. The snake turned away from her and slithered into the bushes. She knows exactly how to handle the creature, Dr. Velneth said. Look at her body language. No fear, no hesitation, pure confidence. She has detailed knowledge of biological warfare. Capabilities, Dr. Ornthek added. And she uses that knowledge to control dangerous organisms. The aliens watched Helen continue her daily work. She checked on bear dens without worry. She walked past wolf tracks like they were flower patterns. She cleaned up areas where mountain lions had been hunting, touching surfaces that still smelled, like the big cats. Every human shows the same behavior pattern, Dr. Cathara said. They all have extensive combat biology training. The next video made things even worse. Dr. Sam was a veterinarian, which meant he was an animal doctor. The aliens watched him work in his clinic, and their security systems never stopped beeping warnings. Sam opened a cage and reached inside to grab a snake that was coiled and ready to strike. The snake tried to bite him, but Sam held it in exactly. the right way so its fangs could not reach his skin. He gave the snake medicine and checked its health, then put it back in the cage. Perfect defensive techniques, Dr. Velneth said. He neutralized the venom delivery system without harming the creature. Next, Sam treated a bird with a curved beak and sharp talons. The bird was angry and tried to attack him, but Sam wrapped it in a towel so it could not move. He fixed the bird's injured wing and then released it back to its cage. Advanced restraint methods, Dr. Ornthek noted. Non-lethal but completely effective. But the most disturbing part was when Sam treated a small mammal that had been hit by a vehicle. The animal was scared and in pain, and it kept trying to bite Sam with teeth that could carry deadly diseases. Sam talked to it in a soft voice while he worked, and somehow the animal began to calm down. Psychological warfare techniques, Dr. Cathara said quietly. He can control aggressive organisms using only vocal patterns. The alien team was starting to realize that every human they studied showed the same abilities. They all knew how to handle creatures that would require military units to contain on other worlds. Then they intercepted communications about a search and rescue operation. A human child was lost in the mountains, and a team led by Maria was going to find her. The aliens watched the operation and could not believe what they saw. The humans moved through terrain filled with dangerous animals like they were walking through a park. They followed tracks left by creatures that hunted in packs. They crossed rivers where predators waited underwater. They climbed rocks where flying hunters built their nests. Military-grade survival training, Dr. Velneth said. Every member of the team shows special forces capabilities. The rescue team worked for 18 hours without stopping. They used tools to cross dangerous areas. They communicated with hand signals when they needed to be quiet. They took turns leading and following like soldiers in combat. When they finally found the lost child, she was not alone. A large dog was sitting next to her, keeping her warm and safe. The dog had stayed with the child all night, protecting her from wild animals. The creatures are cooperating with human military operations, Dr. Ornthek said, his voice filled with amazement and fear. But the most shocking discovery came when the aliens studied human communications about wildlife protection. They intercepted messages between conservation groups around the planet. The humans were working together to protect animals that the aliens had classified as living weapons. Tom led a project to save elephants in Africa. These massive creatures had enough strength to destroy buildings and were smart enough to use tools as weapons, but the humans wanted to make sure more elephants were born, not fewer. They are breeding weapons-grade organisms, Dr. Velneth said, on purpose. Another group was working to protect sharks in the ocean. These were creatures with bite forces that could cut through metal and hunting abilities that surpassed military drones. But humans were making special areas where sharks could live safely, protected breeding zones for aquatic assault units, Dr. Ornthek said. The aliens found projects to save tigers, wolves, bears, eagles, and hundreds of other creatures that would be considered dangerous weapons on any civilized world. But humans called this work conservation and seemed proud of it. Dr. Cathara felt her skin turn an even darker purple. "We need to contact the council immediately," she said. "This is not a wildlife preserve world. This is the most advanced biological weapons development program in the galaxy, and they have been doing it for thousands of years," Dr. Velneth added. The three aliens looked at Earth with new understanding. The humans were not simple colonists living peacefully with nature. They were master weapons developers who had turned an entire planet into their laboratory. And somehow they had convinced their living weapons to work with them instead of against them. The emergency meeting at the Interstellar Wildlife Preservation Council started at dawn. Director Velthera had called together representatives from 47 different worlds after receiving Dr. Cathara's reports about Earth. The great meeting hall was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some looked like giant flowers with eyes. Others were made of living light that changed colors when they spoke. A few were so small they needed special machines to make their voices loud enough to hear. "The situation is worse than we first thought," Director Velthara announced. Her voice was deep and serious. She was one of the oldest beings in the council, with silver skin that had seen many centuries of peace. General Krendok stood up from his seat. He was a warrior from the Zephytar race, with thick armor-like skin and 6 arms that ended in sharp claws. His people had fought wars long ago before joining the peaceful council. "These earth creatures are clearly weapons," he said in his rough voice. "Look at the evidence. Creatures that can kill with poison, animals that can crush bones with their bite, flying hunters that can strike faster than our ships can move." The council members made worried sounds. Some glowed brighter with fear, others changed to darker colors. "But General," said Dr. Melvani, the council's expert on alien minds, "the humans are not using these creatures as weapons. They are protecting them." General Krendok's 6 arms moved angrily. "That is exactly what makes them so dangerous," he said. "They have convinced their weapons to work with them instead of against them. This is the most advanced military strategy we have ever seen." On Earth, Eddie and Rachel had no idea that aliens were discussing their planet in a meeting hall far away in space. They were walking through the forest, following radio signals from wolves they had been studying for 3 years. Eddie carried a small device that beeped when it detected the special collars they had put on some wolves. The collars did not hurt the wolves, but they let the scientists know where the wolf families went and what they did. "Pack leader is moving north," Eddie told Rachel, looking at his screen. "Looks like they found something interesting." Rachel wrote notes in her book as they walked. She had been studying wolf behavior for most of her adult life. She knew that wolves were smart, social animals that worked together to survive. But high above them, alien scientists were watching and recording everything. "The humans have tracking devices on the pack hunters," Dr. Ornthek reported to the council through his communication device. "They monitor the movements of their biological weapons at all times." Back in the council meeting, the debate was getting more intense. Some members wanted to quarantine Earth immediately. Others thought they should try to make peaceful contact first. "We cannot ignore the danger," said Representative Quindal, whose people lived on a world where the most dangerous animal was about as scary as a butterfly. "If humans can control creatures like this, what else might they be capable of?" Dr. Q. Melvani stood up again. She was tall and thin, with large eyes that could see emotions as colors around other beings. Right now, she saw a lot of fear in the room. "I have studied the human communications more carefully," she said. "I do not think they see these creatures as weapons at all. I think they see them as family." General Krendok made a sound like rocks falling down a mountain. "Even more dangerous," he said. "They have emotional bonds with their weapons. This makes them unpredictable." The council watched new footage that Dr. Cathera had sent. It showed a human male named Kevin swimming in the ocean. Around him swam creatures with teeth like knives and jaws that could bite through metal. The creatures were larger than Kevin and could move much faster in the water. "He is completely surrounded," General Krendok said. "Those creatures could kill him in seconds." But Kevin was not afraid. He moved slowly and calmly through the water. When one of the large creatures came close to him, he gently touched its rough skin. The creature seemed to enjoy the contact and swam alongside him like an old friend. "Impossible," whispered Representative Zarthek, whose people had to wear special suits just to be around their own planet's fish. "How can he trust creatures that could destroy him?" Dr. Melvani studied the footage carefully. "Look at Kevin's body language," she said. "Look at how relaxed he is. Look at how the creatures respond to him. This is not fear or control. This is understanding." The council members grew quiet as they watched Kevin swim with the dangerous creatures. Some of the beings had never seen anything like it. On their worlds, intelligence and wild animals stayed far apart for safety. "Perhaps," Dr. Melvani continued, "the humans have learned something that we have not. Perhaps they have found a way to live with dangerous life forms instead of hiding from them." General Krendok was not convinced. "Or perhaps they are so advanced at biological warfare that they can make any creature into their ally," he said. "This makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to send military ships to watch Earth. Others wanted to invite the humans to join the council. A few wanted to pretend they had never found Earth at all. Finally, Director Velthera called for quiet. We will vote, she said. But first, we need more information. I'm sending an official contact team to Earth. The council chamber filled with surprised sounds. No one had expected this decision. The contact team will be led by Dr. Kethara, Director Velthara continued. She knows more about Earth than anyone else. She will make first contact with the humans and determine their true intentions. General Krendok stood up again. And if they are hostile? He asked. Director Velthara looked at him with her ancient, wise eyes. Then we will deal with that problem when it comes, she said. But until we know for certain what the humans are, we will not act in fear. Dr. Kethara received the message while watching Eddie and Rachel track their wolves. She felt her crystal skin change to a bright gold color, which meant she was both excited and terrified. She was about to become the first alien to officially meet the humans, and depending on what she found, it might determine whether Earth would be welcomed into the galactic community or declared a threat to universal peace. The alien ship landed in Yellowstone Park on a clear morning in September. Gary Mitchell was drinking his coffee in the park office when he saw something that made him drop his cup. A silver craft the size of a bus was sitting quietly in the meadow where he had watched elk graze just yesterday. Nancy, you need to see this, he called to his partner. Nancy Clark ran to the window and stared at the ship. As the park's chief naturalist, she had seen many strange things in her 20 years of work, but never anything like this. Should we call someone? She asked. Before Gary could answer, a door opened in the side of the ship. 3 figures stepped out onto the grass. Even from a distance, it was clear they were not human. Dr. Kethara walked slowly toward the park building. Her crystal skin caught the morning sunlight and threw rainbow patterns across the ground. Behind her came Dr. Velneth, his blue skin glistening with moisture, and Dr. Ornthek, whose insect-like appearance made him look like something from a science fiction movie. Gary and Nancy met them outside the building. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The humans stared at the aliens, and the aliens stared back. Finally, Dr. Kethara activated her translation device. Greetings, she said in careful English. We are scientists from the Interstellar Wildlife Preservation Council. We come in peace. Gary laughed, but not because he thought it was funny. He laughed because he was so nervous that he did not know what else to do. Well, he said, this is definitely not in the park ranger handbook. Nancy stepped forward. As a scientist herself, she was curious rather than afraid. What do you want with our wildlife? She asked. Dr. Kethara looked surprised by the question. We want to understand, she said. Your planet has been classified as extremely dangerous by our standards. Every creature we have studied possesses abilities that we consider weapons grade. Yet you live among them peacefully. Weapons, Gary said. You mean the animals? The grizzly bears with their sonic attack capabilities, Dr. Velneth said. The small carnivores with stealth and killing efficiency. The pack hunters with military-grade coordination. Nancy began to understand. You think our animals are weapons, she said. Are they not? Dr. Ornthek asked, his compound eyes reflecting confusion. Our analysis shows combat abilities far beyond what we see on peaceful worlds. Nancy looked at Gary and Gary looked back at her. Then Nancy did something that changed everything. She started to laugh. Come with me, she said to the aliens. Let me show you something. She led them down a trail into the forest. The aliens followed nervously, their instruments beeping warnings about dangerous creatures in the area. After a few minutes of walking, Nancy stopped and pointed to a large fallen log. Sitting on the log was a chipmunk. It was small and fluffy, with bright black eyes and cheeks full of nuts. When it saw the humans, it made happy chirping sounds. Dr. Kethara's instruments immediately started flashing red. Creature shows rapid movement capabilities and defensive hoarding behavior, the computer announced. Nancy reached into her pocket and pulled out some seeds. She held them out toward the chipmunk. The small animal ran across the log and climbed onto her hand to get the food. This little guy lives near the visitor center, Nancy explained. He comes to see me almost every Stay. Look how soft his fur is, look how trusting he is. The aliens watched in amazement as the tiny creature sat in Nancy's palm eating seeds and cleaning its whiskers. But your instruments show it as dangerous, Dr. Velneth said. Only if you are looking for danger, Nancy replied. Yes, he is quick. Yes, he collects and stores food for winter. But that does not make him a weapon, it makes him a survivor. Gary stepped closer to the aliens. I think I understand the problem, he said. You have been studying our animals like they were military equipment. But they are not weapons. They are just living their lives. Dr. Cathara felt her crystal skin changing colors as new understanding began to grow in her mind. But the bears, she said, the wolves, the great sharks in your oceans, they have such power. Yes, Nancy agreed. They are powerful. They are dangerous if you threaten them or their families. But that does not make them evil. It makes them wild. Over the next several hours, Nancy and Gary took the aliens on a tour of the park. They showed them how rangers tracked animals to make sure they were healthy. They explained how scientists studied wildlife behavior to better protect habitats. They demonstrated how humans had learned to live safely alongside dangerous creatures through knowledge and respect. The aliens met Dan, a wildlife photographer who had spent years taking pictures of wolves and bears. They talked to Amy, a conservation biologist who worked to protect endangered species around the world. Each human they met showed the same pattern: deep knowledge of dangerous animals combined with love and respect for them. On our worlds, Dr. Ornthek said as the day ended, intelligent species and dangerous creatures cannot coexist. We must choose to control them or avoid them. But you chose a third option, Dr. Velneth added. You chose to understand them. Gary nodded. Understanding is the key, he said. When you understand something, you do not have to fear it or fight it. You can respect it and find ways to live together. Dr. Cathara contacted the council that evening. Her report was very different from her earlier messages. Earth is not a weapons development world, she told Director Velthara. It is something much more rare and valuable. It is a world where intelligence has learned to live in harmony with nature. The decision to make Earth the galaxy's first harmony preserve was unanimous. Within months, research stations were built where alien scientists could come to study Earth's unique approach to wildlife conservation. Mike became the first human to lead an interspecies expedition, guiding alien researchers through forests and mountains that would have been considered war zones on their worlds. Children from both Earth and alien worlds began learning together about the importance of respecting and protecting all forms of life. The aliens had come to Earth expecting to find weapons. Instead, they found teachers who showed them that the greatest strength was not in controlling nature but in understanding it. And in that understanding, they found the seeds of a new kind of peace that spread throughout the galaxy.